Good morning, good morning, good morning, beautiful, blessed people of God. There we go. It is your girl, Shaniqua Inspires, and I say happy Tuesday to you. I am in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. To God be the glory. I hope and I pray that all is well with you, your household, your family, your finances, because we don't need funny money running the day. We need everything to be in alignment. We call those things that are out of order, we call them into order in the mighty name of Yeshua. We are believing by faith. We are standing our position. We are holding firm that all things are working together for our good. So, although we may have a moment, although we may fret, we have to make it so that it's a passing, that it's not a unpacking and settle here kind of a momentum, but it is a going through. So we want to continuously stay in motion. So I say good morning to each and every one of you. Good morning, Teresa. Blessings to you, Queen. It just reminded me that I did not start my day with my goodies, and we got to get the goodies in so we can get through to continue to go through the day. To God be the glory. So again, I hope and I pray that all is well with you all. The past few days I've been ripping and running and running and ripping, and so today is my actual day of rest. Let's see how that works out. Good morning, Carol. Blessings to you, Queen. Um, so today is my day of rest, but I still have work to do. But at least I don't have, I am kind of bound by a schedule because I'm actually waiting on my oldest now. But nonetheless, prayerfully, work will get done. Let's get all of these taken at one time. To God be the glory. Amen. All right. So like I said, today I do have things on my to-do list today. I have things that I do need to get done. Um, but nonetheless, I am here. I am God's servant. I am his vessel on this day. Let me tell my son to let me know when he's ready. Let me be polite and say good morning. Sometimes I just be about my business, like whatever I got to take care of. I just be like, boom, I get the message out there. I forget the small talk and the pleasantries. I just go boom right into it. But I thank God for another day. Yesterday was a day. Okay, yesterday was a day, and I had to give myself permission, right? Because yesterday I got some disheartening news about one of my students, one of the health coaches that I had the pleasure of training. And one of the things about being a educator, right? I've got my Black nurse educator shirt on today. And one thing about being an educator, I thank God for every individual he places in my classroom. He's custom made. Um, he is the ultimate authoritarian over all things, and he is divine. And so when he places people in a room and he says to me, daughter, this is where I have you. This is, your assignment. Um, I don't count it robbery. I do not take it for granted, right? Even when you have someone that, kind of rubs you the wrong way, or you're like, what is this about? I still have to remember that I am sent by God. And they too are sent by God for whatever reason, for whatever season, for whatever the gist of it is. It is a divine connection, whether we understand it or not. But I do hold my responsibility as educator. I do not take it lightly. Um, And one of the downsides of it, I was just watching a video with Michael B. Jordan, okay, with Michael B. Jordan on Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Kimmel was asking him about the downside of something, and so Michael tried to give the politically correct response, and he was like, "No, no, no. There's no downside." But I'm gonna admit a downside to being an educator, and one of the downsides to being an educator, especially for someone in my position, maybe not every educator, but for me, I can only speak to me. Um, I am love, right? That is what the Lord has shared with me. I am love. And because I am love, I love deeply. Jesus is love. Jesus loved very, very deeply. And that's actually where I was. I was in my Bible before getting on here. I was like, girl, you do realize it's after 8:30, right? And I'm like, yeah, 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 but I gotta finish this passage. I gotta finish this passage. So I'm here. Never let, though it tarries, it's not late, right? So anyhow, Jesus is love. Jesus loved deeply. And I was reading the scripture this morning about Jesus wept. And that's what was in my heart. And that's what I needed as my balm on today. Because yesterday I did get some disheartening news about one of my beautiful health coaches, whom I treasure, all of them, all 947 of them. I treasure all of them, even that one that tried to give me grief. I don't remember her name. I don't even remember what she did, but I do remember feeling some kind of some tension. But it's okay because the people stoned Jesus. They didn't. Everybody wasn't a part of his fan club. So it is all good. And again, I do believe she was, divinely placed in the midst of it, right? Just to keep you just a little bit humble, like all 946 of them love you, but then there's the one, right? But we still go after them all. But nonetheless, there was, I got some disheartening news yesterday. Um, that the one that I loved, right? One of the ones that I loved, um, had transitioned, right? Um, she transitioned, and um, it hurt, right? And so yesterday, when I got the news, partially like in the afternoon, like in the afternoon time, I had to continue on with my day, and I felt like my brakes pumping. Right. So I still had a lot of stuff to do yesterday, because I figured I had the whole day to get done everything that I needed to do. So I put everything kind of like on the back burner. And then I got this news. And so therefore I like the brakes were pumped. And I started to try to fight through it. And the more I tried to fight through it, my heart started to hurt. And so I decided to stop. I just decided to stop, and I know I had deadlines to meet. People are expecting things from me, but I stopped. I had to take one of those Jesus going to sleep moments, stealing away kind of a moments, and I had to sit with my human side. I didn't want to tap dance before the world. I didn't want to do what everybody needed me to do. Thank you so much, Teresa. I didn't want to do everything, like the world needed me to do. I did not want to be anything for the world, to be honest with you. I just needed a moment for myself. And grief is natural, right? Grief is natural, but it's when we we don't allow ourselves the space to grieve, right? We don't allow ourselves the space to grieve. We always jump into this hierarchy, this stratification of grief. Well, if the person was, this close to you, then you are to, like you have this right to grieve. Oh, if you spoke to the person last week, you have this right to grieve. But we can grieve a number of things. right? We can grieve conversations that we never had. We can grieve opportunities that never came our way. We can grieve situations. We can grieve people. We can grieve loss of stature and statuses. Like there's so much that we grieve in this world, right? When we hear things, but we just go on like robots and we just carry on and we just continue with business as usual. And unfortunately, but fortunately, one of the things that I learned through death is that you do have to give yourself time. So last night, or yesterday, late afternoon, I was like, I'm done. Like, I can't do anything else. Like I said, I had deadlines, I had people waiting on stuff from me, but I was just like, I'm just not going to do it. And if anybody gets upset about that, then that's their burden to bear, not mine's. So I decided to just shut it down, right? And so luckily I had cooked dinner. I had cooked oh my God, what day is, well, today's Tuesday, right? Happy Tuesday, everyone. So I had cooked on Monday evening. No, today's Tuesday. Sunday evening. There we go. Thank you for being alert and oriented this morning, Shaniqua. I had cooked on Sunday evening, but my oldest had treated me to Mexican food. So I had Mexican food. And but I still cooked. And luckily I did that. So yesterday being Monday, I had my dinner prepared. So I didn't have to worry about what I was going to eat, if I was going to eat anything of that nature. I had food that I ate. And so then I just laid down, right? I just laid in the bed. Put on some music and I just shut it down. And I gave myself that permission. And I was like, go ahead. And if you have to release, like go ahead and release it. Right. And so and that's actually how this morning I came, I heard in my spirit the title Relax, Relate, Release, for those of my 80s and 90s babies, when we grew up on a different world. That was one of the classic statements from Whitley Gilbert. Relax, relate, release. Relax, relate, release. To kind of like unwind, to de-stress yourself. Good morning, Danielle. So it was in my spirit this morning about the relax, relate, release. And so last night I had to let some stuff go. Right, I had to take my hands off of some emotions. I had to take my hands off of um, just trying to be this supernatural being. I had to step back, and I remember while I was laying down last night, and the tears were coming from my eyes. I just had to say, like, Lord, I'm just going to be in my human side. Like, if that's all right with you, I just need to settle in my human side for just a little bit. And that's where the tears came from. And this morning, I was reminded of that. All I kept hearing in my spirit was Jesus wept, Jesus wept. And for those of you who are not familiar with the story, I'm certain the people who are on the line, you're probably familiar with the story. It's just as your reminder for you to go back and take a look at it. It's in John chapter 11. John chapter 11, where Jesus gets news that the one whom he loved, right? The one whom he loved, Lazarus, um, had died, or he was sick. He was sick. He was ailing, and it looked like death. But Jesus then says, his sickness is not unto death, and it's for God to get the glory. And so he stayed where he was, and he stayed, in fact, for 2 days. And most people, and you could hear the urgency in the friends, Mary and Martha, the urgency in their voice when he did show up. They were like, well, if you had been here, if you had been here, if you had been here. And Jesus is like, I'm here now. Like, we forget that God is time, that Jesus is the orchestrator of time. It flows through him. Though it tarries, it's not late. right? So it may be late in somebody else's standard, but the point, the overarching goal is for God to get the glory. So Jesus is like, I'm gonna finish up doing what I'm doing over here. 2 days later, then I'm gonna go and see what's what's all this happening, what's all this going on. And he speaks to Martha, speaks to Mary, and they trust him. They're little in their feelings, right? Because again, these are humans. We are humans. We get in our feelings when things don't go our way, when opportunities pass us by, when doors have to close. As much as we declare that we close doors, we're all good, like we're all good with it. No, it hurts. It hurts when you have to turn another page in your life. It's not all hunky dory when you have to leave a job. Like, yeah, you might have been stressed out, at that job with those people, but guess what? Like, you were there for quite some time. When I left my corporate job, like, yes, it looked as though I was like, footloose and fancy free. I'm going to be a full-time entrepreneur. I'm in my moment. But again, I was in my feelings, and it helped me to release. It helped me to go out the door. But in all honesty, there is a sadness that comes from the ending of an era, an ending of a moment of security, an ending of a moment of consistency, an ending of a moment of being comfy and cushy in this zone. And when death happens, when loss occurs, when the release takes place, yeah, we might think it's going to be all good in the hood, but there is a closure. And oftentimes that closure doesn't always feel good. When you go through a divorce, yes, you're like, phew, I'm glad that's over. But you have to then sit with the reality. You have to then sit with the human side of, wow, that is no longer. What used to be is no longer. Right. And as much as we want to run past and fast forward through these thoughts, these emotions, and these feelings, a lot of times what happens is when we don't process them, when we don't feel our way through, we just up and keep moving on. Up, they close the casket. Okay, I got to get back to going because the world says I got to get back to going. Well, what ends up happening is the pressure of that door closing and you trying to like zip off and run off real quick without addressing it, it can cause a weightiness. And I put up on my Facebook post yesterday afternoon, don't die of a broken heart. And many people die from a broken heart. And this young lady, although I haven't really heard all of the full story of what happened, what transpired, but what I do know, the bits and pieces that I do recall, is that she was struggling with grief. She had what's known as compound grief. My sister friend Deborah Daniels, she is a grief counselor, and she actually taught me that word. I never knew that that word existed for when people go through loss after loss after loss after loss. Maybe it's not a person. Maybe it's you go through a so look, I can go back and I can tell you some things in my testimony from when the marriage separated. There was a releasing of the marriage. Then there was a releasing from the jobs. Like, I had jobs that I had released. Then there was a releasing of friends. I had three very, very close friends, and there was a particular season where all three of them were paused, were gone from my life. Nobody talks about those because we live in a world and they tell us to normalize it. Just get over it. Go find a new friend. Go find a new boo. Go find a new place to stay. Go find a new job. Like, it ain't really that easy to just go up and find a new job. And oftentimes we go through, and for women, right, for women, us in particular, women of a certain melanin hue as well, we tend to go and fill the void with things. We are the highest educated, group. So we go and we fill it with accolades and certificates and certifications and degrees and all of these letters behind our name. That's what we fill it with. But we do ourselves a disservice when we don't deal with those losses. Absolutely, Carol. Carol, there are various levels to loss. And nobody has the right to tell you, well, y'all wasn't even that close, and that, but her mama should be grieving like there's no hierarchy. Loss is loss. And just because I wasn't the mother, just because I wasn't the cousin or even the bestie, doesn't mean that I don't feel the loss. So I took a moment of personal reference. I took a moment for self. And as Danielle always tells me, she's like, be gentle. She's like, don't be over there beating up my friend Shaniqua, right? So I was very gentle with myself last night. I said, you know what? Let's go to our place, right? Let's go to our place where we know we're going to be safe, where we know we're going to be comforted, and we know we can cry, we can praise, we can rejoice, we can do it all. And so I retreated to my place, and I'm still here now. I'm still here now. Good morning, Leslie Ann. Blessings to you. And so I gave myself that moment. And so when I woke up this morning, again, what was in my spirit was relax, relate, release. So we do need to take a time of resting, right? And if I had to change up that common saying, if I had to change it up, I would tweak it just a little bit, and instead of relax, I would call it rest. Right? Because yes, Happy New Year to you. We know that Jesus was the king of the steal away. He, even in the storm, he was on the boat taking a cat nap. He was like, nah, I need to go to my center. I need to go to my foundation. I need to go to my source. I need to plug in. I need to charge up this here battery, because there's a great works that I'm going to be required to do in a moment. So I have to get myself together. So if I had to fine tune the title, I would call it rest. Rest, relate, release. We got to honor ourselves. We've got to honor ourselves. Everything in God's timing. We don't have to be on 24/7. We got to honor ourselves. We have to honor the God in us, and we need to rest. That's our place of resetting, settling in, and getting alignment. So we need to rest. The relate is the divine understanding. What is the overall goal here? What is the point of it all? Come on now. Does it? I think that's Anthony Hamilton's song, The Point of It All. What's the point of it all? Well, the point of it all in John chapter 11 was so that God gets the glory, right? That was the point. The point was, and let me go back to where it was, because I was reading it. What did Jesus say? He said, and yesterday we were talking about some of the things that Jesus said, and we were hanging on to 12-year-old Jesus. Now we in full blown, today's the 13th. Okay, yeah. My alert on my Google is flashing that I got an assessment. I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what? Because I did tell it to tell me a day in advance. So, but I got a little fluttered there. I'm like, wait a second, I ain't supposed to be nowhere but here at this moment in time. Good morning, Leslie. Blessings to you. So let me get back to where so yesterday we were talking about little Jesus. Today we talking about grown man Jesus. But where's the verse where he says where's the verse where he talks about okay, here we go. John chapter 11, verse 4, the latter clause of verse 4. He says, when he heard this, he said, this sickness will not end in death for Lazarus, but will bring glory and praise to God. This will reveal the greatness of the Son of God by what takes place. So there was the point. Thank you, Carol. There was a point. That is the relating part. What is the divine understanding that is needed? And you can only come to that divine understanding when you rest. When you're all up in your feelings, when you are all busy, you got to go to work, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got this on your to-do list, and you out here just crunching and going and going. You just finished divorce. Now you out here in the streets, you trying to find a new mate, you trying to find a new boo. You know, you just suffered this great loss and you haven't given yourself a chance to rest. You got to rest. Come on, come on. Exactly. We just keep running. But when is your respite period? And the respite period is necessary. It's not optional. It's not a suggestion. It is necessary. It is necessary. That word necessary, we were talking about that word necessary yesterday. What were we in? We were in Luke, I believe yesterday. Luke 2. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Luke 2. We were in the 41st verse. Where was it that said necessary? When we heard the words of 12-year-old Jesus, he said, why would you need to search for me? Didn't you know that it was necessary for me to be here in my Father's house? Necessary. This is not an optional, it is a non-negotiable that you rest, that you reset. Where, yes, you can do it on a beach in Aruba, but you need to be connected to your Father's house. That's where you get true rest. Just going away to your bed ain't going to do nothing if you're not anchoring yourself at your Father's house. Right? I don't want my bed to be anywhere else. I don't want my bed to be in the street, in the chaos, in the turmoil, because a lot of times your bedroom can be chaos and turmoil. It's where you work, it's where you play, it's where you strategize, it's where you do this. You got everything. I got a treadmill, I got papers over here, I got a file cabinet, I got my clothes. Like, there's a lot going on in the bedroom. A lot transpires in a bedroom. But you need some place in your home that is going to be a divine sanctuary so that you may get rest. And from that resting place, you get the divine understanding, which is the relate. And it's necessary. It's not optional. Right? Come on. There you go, Leslie. Key word, necessary. And I would even dare say to you all on today, if hearing that word necessary stimulates something inside of you, I need you to go read it. I need you to go look it up. I need you to go study, deep dive on that word necessary, so that you don't just take it as an option, that you take it as a mandate, as a spiritual mandate to say, this is what I need in this moment in time. Because it's time for me to relax, relate, release. And how else will I be able to do that if I don't have the understanding that it is necessary? That it is necessary. So the rest It's necessary. I know you just woke up, but did you rest? Did you connect to your Father's house? Because it's necessary before I can go be great at anybody's position, that I can go save the day at anybody's company, before I can go be anything to anybody else, before I can be mama, before I can be a nurse, before I can be caregiver, before I can do anything for anybody else, I need to make certain that I have ample time to rest, because it is necessary that I connect to my Father. Right? It is necessary. Don't get consumed in busyness and forget the necessity. So the relax, we're switching it to be rest, reset, rest. The relate, we're saying that's where you get your divine understanding. And once you get your divine understanding, you can let it go. You can let go of the expectations. Because in verse 35, John chapter 11, verse 35, in my the Passion Translation, it says, then tears streamed down Jesus's face. But we know that in NIV, maybe NIV, but the King James Version, as Jesus wept. Now, it goes on to say that some of the people, the onlookers, believed that Jesus wept because he loved Lazarus so much. And although that is a true statement, right? He did love Lazarus. It mentioned that in the beginning of the chapter. But that may not necessarily have been the only reason why he wept. I believe in what the Lord is telling me on today. The tears Jesus wept was the release. But you so strong. You got it all together. You the one that take care of everybody. You do everything. But when do you release? And I just got a flashback to, my God, how many years has it been? I think this year will be 8 years. Name of Jesus. This year will be 8 years. This year will be 8 years since my angel transitions. And I flash back to the repast, not the repast. The repast is the thing afterwards. The funeral or the service, right? The service where the wake, that's what it was called. I don't even know the terms of the wake. And they had the casket and disclaimer, you know, I don't want to make anybody sad or anything. I pray the Lord cover, protect hearts and minds. But hey, sometimes you need this memory to get your release. Right? So we believe the Lord for all things that transpire thereafter, right? And you just have to be like 12-year-old Jesus. You got to sit with it. You got to be about your Father's business, right? You need to go after your healing like you go after every corporate ladder, like you go after every position, like you go after every certification. You need to put forth that same energy when it comes to your healing in every area of your life. And so I remember being at the wake and people were coming up to view her body. And I stood next to the casket like a security guard. Ain't nobody asked me. Ain't nobody gesture for me to go over there. My spirit just told me to go protect her body. And all sorts of people were coming up. All levels of grief were coming up, right? From her parents to her grandparents to her friends to her cousins, like all levels. Half of the people, majority of the people, I didn't even know. I didn't know who all these people were, but everybody was coming up, and my spirit said, "Go protect her body. But in that moment, I never realized what was transpiring. I didn't realize what was really transpiring, right? Because people are bringing up all sorts of things, all of their griefs, all of their issues, everything. They're bringing all of that here. And here I am as the deflector. Move, keep it moving. If somebody stood there too long, all right, my hand was moving them, keep it moving. I was the security guard. And I remember one of my aunts noticed me standing there. And again, I don't know what was going on in her mind, but she saw me standing there and she decided to come and stand with me. But I was in the zone. And I don't need you here like I guess like she was there to support me as I was standing there, but in my mind everybody was an enemy. Everybody, like everybody need to move. Okay, 2.5 seconds, now keep it moving. So even with her, I was like standing on guard, and that's what the Holy Spirit reminded me of, that moment of how stoic I was. Like those guards, you see those guards in like London, the ones that guard the palace. They're sitting there, they have no facial expression, they don't move. People are coming snapping pictures with them all up in their face, and they are on guard. And so the Holy Spirit just took me back to that moment where I was standing there stoic and on guard, taking in all of these feelings, all of these emotions from everybody. I'm standing there like a rock, like you can't touch her, like her spirit is safe, like I'm safeguarding her spirit. But then I had to go home with all of that deflected stuff. Like, because some stuff, when you deflect it, it bounces off of you, it drops to the floor, it stays right there. But then some stuff latches onto you. That stuff that really wanted to get in latches onto you. So I didn't know I was being superwoman without my proper equipment on. I didn't know, even though the armor goes with you everywhere, I didn't realize that it was going to attach to it. Right? That it was my body's defense mechanism, right? I just did what I just did what I felt that I needed to do. But I took on a lot of that. When you take off the armor, you notice bruising. You're like, where did that come from? And I had to sit with all of that. I remember the weekend when everything had calmed down, nobody was around. Nobody was calling. Nobody was checking in. The phone was quiet. And I was alone with all of those emotions, all of those things that had latched onto me in my protective mode. And now it's pulling on me. It's pulling on me. It's like, And it was time to release. And I cried. And I cried. And I cried. And then the Lord said, stop crying. It's time to go to work. Stop crying. It's time to go to work. After Jesus wept, he had to go to work. He had to perform the miracle. The Lord was like, stop crying. He was like, get the purple notebook. Get your pen. And I did what Carol had mentioned earlier. I wrote it in a journal. My journal became, there's an angel in heaven that calls me auntie. That was my release. Right? So over the weekend, when everything had settled down, my body went into a rest that I didn't want. I needed to keep going. I needed to be busy. I needed to do this. I turned into the worker bee. I needed to move, I needed to be, because that's what kept me from sinking in. So I thought, but it was just adding to what was going to weigh me down until I realized, and whether I had to be shut down or not. I mean, sometimes the Lord will just shut you down. He will sit you all the way down. Okay. Okay. Whichever way it goes. You gonna voluntarily do this, or you gonna involuntarily do this? Because he's like, it's gonna happen, because I'm all about the hashtag goal. And the hashtag goal is for God to get the glory. So he's like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. He's like, the choice is yours. But either way, he was like, I needed to get connected to my source. So he stopped the phone calls. He could have easily made people call me, check on me, see if I was okay. I had a friend that texted me 4 times a day during that season. And then in actuality, it was the very same friend, when I told you I had 3 of them, that we parted ways around the same time. Um came just swoop back in at the right time and text me 4 times a day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, dessert, whatever you want to call it, 4 times a day. Even after we hadn't spoken in probably years. Divine timing. One way or the other, whether through a total shutdown, whether Jesus got to pull you by your coattails, you gotta get into the rhythm. And that's why I like this: relax, relate, release. Relax, relate, release. It was a rhythmic thing that we did in the 90s and the 2000s. We joked about it, but it has to be rhythmic. Otherwise, we're not going to do it if it's disjointed. Some people don't like to rest. They don't know how to rest. Oh, I can't sit still. I always got to be doing something. Okay, well, you got to get into the rhythmic motion of it, of sitting down, of connecting to your source. And it's got to be it's got to be a necessity. It's not a soft option, it's a necessity. What does your rest look like? Is it journaling? Is it reading your word? I've been listening to worship music. And so even when the songs are not playing, they're in my head. I'm singing in my sleep. Like, you got to do what you got to do. You got to make it a rhythmic motion until it gets into your subconscious. So even when you sleep and you don't even know what's going on, you still worshiping, you're still praying. Like, the Lord has taught me how to pray in my sleep. I literally pray in my sleep. I intercede in my sleep. I'm not conscious of it, but I know I'm doing it. I didn't say, "Oh, let me pray." No, I just will start praying in my sleep. If the enemy starts to rise up, he's attacking in my sleep, I literally can pray. If I'm having a dream about someone, I can step outside the dream and be like praying for whoever it is, and I'm dreaming about it, and the dreams take, like, yeah. Yeah, this came from a deep training. This is some deep Jedi move. I don't know what this is, but it's some deep training. But I don't fight it. I flow with it. Why? Because you gotta have this stuff so in your subconscious that you can do it whether you're thinking about it or not. It's got to be rhythmic. You got to be able to steal away and rest even if you can't get out of the space. So even if you're standing on guard, you can still be stealed away at rest. You can still be connecting. You could still be at your Father's house, even though you're standing in front of the gates at the palace. You can still retreat in your mind and in your heart and in your worship and in your praise. You can steal away and be at your Father's house, because it is a necessary place for you to be. Because at your Father's house, where we were talking from Luke chapter 2 on yesterday, at your Father's house is where you're going to get the wisdom. You're going to get the knowledge. You're going to get the teaching. You're going to get the boot camp. You're going to get the blueprints. You're going to get the strategies. You're going to get all of that from your Father's house. But if you don't go to your Father's house because you're busy, you got a to-do list, you got deadlines, you got meetings, you got Zoom calls. Okay, Miss Busy Bee, you're going to miss what is a necessity in your life. So we have to make certain that we get the rest. We want to make certain that we're tapped in, we're tied in, so that we can get the strategies, so that we can get the divine understanding. That's the relate. And then we got to know that it's okay to release. Jesus didn't weep because of a human emotion, right? It could have been, he could have, because Jesus grew up as a human, right? He was this supernatural being living this natural experience. And yes, he loved Nazareth, and everybody around him was crying. Maybe it was one of those reactive moments, or maybe it was one of those divine timing moments where he said, oh, this is a good place for me to release this. Because where everybody else is releasing their stuff, I don't want to take any of this on. So it was a good place to release. So as you go about your day, I want you to be very strategic. I want you to be very, very intentional about your rest, getting your divine understanding, and releasing. Releasing that natural side, releasing that human emotion, so that you can go on to the hashtag goal, to the ultimate divine understanding. What is the point of it all? So once we understand the point of it all, we can let go of everything else that flows in. We ready to go? All right. All right, you all have a beautiful and blessed day. I got to run. Got some mommy duties to take care of. You all be blessed. And tomorrow I will not see you all tomorrow because I have an early start tomorrow. That's why I set my alarm for a day before to tell me. And now I just remembered why I had to do that. So tomorrow I will not be on the live, but I will see you all on Thursday, God willing. All right. So you all have a beautiful and blessed day. And remember to relax, relate, and release. Amen. Have a good day, everyone. Take care. Thanks, Leslie. Love you too.